Good morning, everybody. It's a nice rainy day here in the Villages, Florida, and we are doing level 3 on a Friday, and we are in book 336, Beautiful Ballads. Today we are on page 197. The song is called What About Love? All right, now this is from one of my favorite rock and roll bands, and the name of the band is Heart. All right, it was originally written, now this I didn't know, I thought they wrote it. It was originally written and recorded by a Canadian rock band. There you go, Fred. The name of the band was Toronto. I'd never heard of them before, in 1982. Later, it was recorded by American rock band Heart in 1985 and released as their first single from their album entitled Heart. It was the comeback single for them, as it was the first track to reach the top 40 in 3 years. So, even good bands have periods of time where their popularity or their songs just don't measure up enough. But this was their first track to reach the top 40 in 3 years, and their first top 10 hit in 5 years. Oh, okay, so it was a good choice by them. Here's your trivia of the day. Do you guys remember the band Starship or Jefferson Starship? You might recall the band Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now.
Right.
Or Sarah. Okay, those are two of their big hits. Grace Slick and Mickey Thomas are the names of the people that are actually the two singers in that band. They're the backup singers in this song.
For heaven's sake.
So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. They're fantastic vocalists in their own right, and here they are backing up another band. So yeah, the circles are small.
Starship. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. First things first. Let's get this road map out of the way. And it is going to be easier for you if you make a copy of that odd page and tape it, because then you don't have to worry about anything. Now, that being said, your repeat dots are actually on page 2, so it isn't as bad as it could have been. All right, so here we go. All of page 1, page 2, the first verse. Your chorus starts at the end of line 4. Page 3, line 1, line 2. In line 2, there's your first ending. Okay? Your first ending goes 2.5 lines. It's ridiculous long. So you want to make your dots a color. Now, where are they going back to? Page 2. Yeah, don't go all the way back to the beginning. They're going back to page 2, the top. I made that mistake several times when I was playing this, because you just always go back to the first page, and you don't have to with this one. So now we're going to do the second verse. I can't tell you what you're feeling inside, and I can't sell you what you don't want to buy. But something's missing, and you got to look back on your life. You know something, it just ain't right. What about love? Don't you want someone to care about you? What about love? Don't let it slip away. What about love? I only want to. So now we're on line 2, end of this first measure, right before the first ending. You can put a colorful 2 and then trace the 2 down here so you know where you're going. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, I actually made 2 more sets of repeat dots, and I should have said silly sign. We're going to cross out. In the second ending, we're only going to use that first measure. So you're going to cross out the last measure with the D minor chord and throw that measure away. And right before then, you can have 2 thin lines and put a D, S, and fade. I have repeat and fade. I don't want to do that. D, S, and fade. So we're going to go back to part of the song and fade it out. Where are we going back to? Where is the silly sign going to be? The beginning of the last line on page 198. So that's where you want to make your silly sign, and you want to make that the same color so you know exactly where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to have to write in the pickup notes. The pickup notes. What about? See, if you look up at line 4, the last measure, the 4th beat, you have an 8th note triplet of 3 C's in a row, you want to do that at the end of that measure on your second ending. You want to put C, C, C stems, connect them with a flag, put a little 3 under it, and write what about.
Is
So
that
that
on
when
the last line on the third page?
Last line on the third page, the end of the
Okay.
first measure. 'Cause
Okay,
remember, we're throwing the second measure out.
correct.
So then that's going to be your pickup notes. What about love when you go back to, so you're basically, you're just going to go right back to the last line of the second page. What about love? Don't you want someone to care about you? And then you're going to fade it out.
Okay,
And you can play it as often as you want. You can go back to the second ending. You can go back to the first ending. Doesn't matter. You fade it out where it feels comfortable for you. Now, I also want you to put a fermata. You remember what a fermata is? It's a little rainbow with a dot in it over the A in the second ending. Not the first A, but the second A, the dotted half note. Put a fermata over that, and you can hold that as long as you want before doing your pickup notes and doing the repeat. That gives you a chance to do big drums and big fill-in. Whoops, I got a lot of static here. You guys hearing static? It's my
Little.
wire. Yeah, it's the wire here. Yeah, okay. Hopefully I caught it. Now I'm also going to be giving you some double lines. What do double lines usually mean? Take a break. And a break is usually an NC, or not, but it just means you're going to do a little bit of a break, and I'll show you where those are. Line, let's go to the first page. Last line, last measure. Right in between the C dotted half note and your D, F, eighth notes, you're going to just put 2 little lines, and you're going to change a preset there too. So you can either do a no chord, or you'll hear it when you kick to the next preset.
So the double line and no chord.
You don't have to do a no chord, because when you kick it to the next preset, it'll sound
okay.
like a no chord.
Okay,
All right, now we're also going to do something like that, and you can use it or not. The second page, line 4. Second measure, something that you forgot right between the D quarter note and the CCC. What about? Do another little one. And that's where you can put your country harmony, or a duet, either one, or a duet. So you can take a little bit of a break, do a no chord, and if it takes a whole extra measure, so what? This is rock and roll. You can do a fill-in for an entire measure with lots of big drums, and then it'll give you the time, if you don't have presets, that you can reach up and touch your duet. And let's see. Third page, line 1, 2, 3, 4. Third measure, right after your G dotted half note, you're going to put just a little break. And again, if you want to take an entire measure to do it, you may. But all we're going to do there is go to the lower keyboard. So you're just going to put a big old L
okay.
over the I can't. All right, now I haven't told you where all of your presets are yet. You can put this on, if you've got a smaller instrument, it's perfectly good on rock full band at 82 beats a minute. So it's not a fast song. And you might just want to keep it on your style setup or your rhythm preset 0, which gives you a rock organ on the top and an electric guitar on the bottom. And you can just play the whole song with that. Or if you want to make it more advanced, I did print out presets. I know I get a little carried away with songs that I really like. So I did do some presets. They're not difficult. Now, what is the whole idea of these presets? It's to
Know
get
our
you,
buttons. Learn the
yes,
buttons.
pushing the buttons and learn the buttons. Now, this was done in the 80s, right? And what was the biggest instrument in the 80s, even in heavy duty rock and roll bands?
Guitar.
No, synthesizer.
Oh,
The synthesizer, the keyboard synthesizers, those came into vogue in the 70s, and they were used heavy duty in the 80s. As a matter of fact, a lot of bands used only synthesizers and drum machines and wrote great big hit songs.
Mhm.
But this was a heavy duty rock band. They had several rock guitarists, including one of the sisters. Nancy Wilson was a great guitarist, as well as backup singer and a lead singer.
Mhm.
Okay, and then they also had another guitarist in the band. So the synthesizer is in the chords. So your chords need a synthesizer sound. So if you are on a smaller instrument, that's not too hard to do. You just go to where it says lower, ensemble, and more. Touch the more and scroll until you get to something that says solo saw. Saw is a synthesizer, or synth saw. That is a sound that would be used big time in this song. And to give you an idea, here's the sound. Okay? So you want that kind of a synthesizer sound on your chords. Or not. You don't have to. And then I also, this is a little bit harder, so for those of you that want to accept the challenge, I have an optional intro. Now, if you don't want the intro, what key is this song written in?
I was just thinking of that.
So you know what intro to start.
D minor.
D
D
minor.
minor, yes, it is
Yep.
D minor. So if you want to just start with the intro that's here, you just press it and do D minor. When the intro's done, you play the song. Okay, I'm going to use the intro that I wrote out, and those of you who know this song, you're going to go, oh yeah, that's what it's all about. So here we go. What about love?
see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did it sound like the song?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it did. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I know why you put the CCC there on the third page, bottom
Uh-huh.
line.
Yep.
You put the dots and then put just before the dots, the CCC. That
So that should go
fun.
back. Yep. So
Yeah.
that should go back to. Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So you can make it as easy or as hard as you want. If you just want to do rock full band, keep the organ on top and keep the electric guitar on the bottom, and try to get a synthesizer in your chords and just play. Just play it. I did add that country harmony for the chorus, which is What About Love? That starts at the bottom of the second page. All right, so if you don't want to do that, don't worry about it. Just play the song. And if you don't
But you
like
know
the
what? I
song,
do have a question. When you
yes,
did the intro, it was just really eerie. It was
yes, it's supposed to be.
electrifying.
Yeah, it's
that's cool.
supposed
I
to
like
be.
that.
And again, it's a synthesized sound. It was
Yeah.
those strings, and the strings start really high, like out in the distance, and they come down.
Yep.
Yep. So
Yep.
I had to figure out, how am I going to get those strings? So I've got some of them up here and some of them here. So
Right.
I had to first of all put the strings in there,
Uh-huh.
and I don't have any drums on, but I do have this on. I do have the synthesized sound on the bottom. And I'm using the Genie or the basic only, because that also I changed to a synthesized sound. So part of the background is doing that as well, to just double up on that.
Mhm.
But with that beginning, I'm using orchestrals and solo. And I'm sending all three to the upper. I'm turning off all of the tabs here. I just use the red upper tab, turn it off. Why? Because I want to use something called upper octave orc solo. Upper octave orc solo. What is that? It only affects the sounds that are in your orchestral and your solo. So if you're on a larger instrument, the four instruments that are here, the four sounds that are here, that is the only ones. The tabs are not affected by that at all. So I put in there some synthesized strings. I actually combined 3 different strings and sent them all to the upper keyboard so that all of them would be affected. One of them is strings octave, so it's already going to be in an octave, so I've already got one sound going down. But here's what that does. So I'm going to turn those to just 0. If I start here, I should pull this out so I can actually play this. All right. That's where it is, but without using your upper octave orc solo. What happens if I use it? Oh! It sends all the strings up an octave.
Mhm.
So it does give it that eerie sound.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn,
Yeah,
on that button, when you press it once, it goes to green.
correct.
If you press it again, it'll go back to red, right?
Yeah, but then it'll go up a second octave.
Oh, it
And then
will?
it's the sound that only dogs can hear.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yes, it goes up 2 octaves. It also
Uh-huh.
goes down 2 octaves. So that
Okay.
is an interesting button for you to know. And I'll tell you what, even the Freedom 3, the little 2 keyboard Freedom 3, has an orchestral octave button. It's extremely useful. So that if you're playing and it sounds too high, you can just hit that button instead of putting your hand up an octave and marking 8VA all over your paper. You can just hit that button and put it where you need it to be. So it's a very interesting button. If you've never used that button before, it's worth it just to see what it does,
Mhm.
even if you decide not to do the intro. But yes, it's a very eerie sounding intro. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, I like it.
And then it kicks in with no drums. It starts with no drums. Now again, if you don't like playing without drums, then it's more difficult because it's harder to hear the beat. I usually recommend, if you're just getting started, keep your bass and your drums on as high as you can, because that helps you keep your, that helps you keep your beat. I still
no.
hurt. I still hurt. So, so if you don't feel like following the presets, don't worry about it. You put it on rock, you put it on organ and guitar, and if you didn't like those sounds, pick something different. Pick what you do like. But they are a heavy-duty rock band, so you want a synthesized sound someplace, and if you want to use a synthesized sound for your melody, go for it. Now you just have to go for the More button and scroll until you find that synth saw. And now you can actually put that synthesizer into your melody. So if you wanted to do that, that's a good option as well. And then just use your up and down.
Mhm.
If you've got an easy 10 or you've got a fanfare, now you've got presets. So you can try all the different ones and see what you got.
Mhm.
Or just play with what the style setup or the normal vintage 0 comes up, which is that rock organ and a rock guitar on the bottom. Now, did you notice anything about how I played the song? Anything rhythmically?
That was staccato.
I did some staccato. Yes, I did. I sang the song. This is my singing hand. I
Yeah.
played the song the way I would sing it. What about love? And get on it and get off of it.
Yeah, yeah.
What about love? Don't you want someone to care about you? What about love? And get off of it. So if you wanted to put a staccato,
I do have a question.
Yeah.
When that happens in other songs, you've in the past told us to put stop instead of no.
sometimes yes, sometimes no. Usually if it's
Oh.
just a staccato, usually if it's just get on it, get off of it, you take a pencil and you put a dot over or under the note. So like the top of page 3, the very first one, what about love? You might want to put a dot on top of it. The stem's going down, so your dot goes on top.
Mhm.
If your stem is going up, then your dot would go underneath it. Now that's different from the dots that go on the side of the note.
Mhm.
Dots that are on the side of the note, like the very last A, the very last line, you have a half note with a dot on the side of the note. What does that mean? That tells you how long to hold it.
Yes.
A dot next to a note, you add 50% of the note's value. So in this case, that would be 3. But I'm also putting a fermata over that one, so you hold as long as you darn well please.
Oh, I see.
Now, the chords that I'm playing, I am playing in a interesting rhythm. Now, those of you that have soft rock, your bass is already doing this rhythm. That's why I like that background. Because I'm playing the chords on beat 1 and beat 2.5, not beat 3. Bum, bum. So you're jumping the gun with those chords. And if you listen to the bass player in your soft rock, let's get rid of some of this other stuff. Okay, so you're going to play your chords to follow that. You just jump in the gun. Okay, see what I'm doing?
Mhm.
You're playing it on 1 and you're playing it on 2.5. So you don't want to go 1, 3, 1, 1, 2.5, 1, 2.5. And if you listen to the song, that's exactly how it goes. Okay? But your soft rock, if you have that rhythm, that's the one to use because it will help guide you because your bass player is already doing that. So you just kind of play along with your bass player and you'll be fine.
Mhm.
Always
Isn't
choose
it
a rhythm
normal
that's going
for
to
the
help you.
rhythm to guide you that way?
Mhm.
You know, in terms, yeah.
Yeah, let the rhythm guide you. Let the rhythm do it for you, and you just follow along with it. It's a lot easier to play when your bass player is already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Now, that being said, if you're playing rock 8-beat or your rock full band and it's not doing that for you, so what? You don't have to do it. Then you just play 1 and 3 and it's going to sound fine. Play along with, use the rhythm to help you. Play along with your rhythm, and it will always be the best guide for you. Never fight with your rhythm. If you're fighting with your rhythm, then it's you either have to do one of two things. You change the way you're playing, or you tell this guy to change the way he's playing. And usually it's you're right and he's wrong. It's never your fault. It's always the instrument's fault. Make sure the instrument's following you. Okay?
Mhm.
All right. There is a misprint. They left out one chord. All the chords are fine. There's no chord changes, but they did leave out a chord, and it's on the second page, page 196. I'm sorry, 198. Last line. The F chord is good for, okay, 2 beats. All right. Remembering that we're playing every 2.5 beats. Over the C for the word want, put a B flat. If you notice, it's the same up at the top of the next page. F, B flat, C, F, B flat, C. They just forgot to put the B flat in at the bottom of the first page.
Is that where the chorus is on the last line, second
Yes.
page? Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay.
And that's where, if you're going to put a harmony, that's where to put your harmony.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
This thing is still going cuckoo on me. Stop it.
I think I put the harmony. Oh, here it is.
We don't hear you, Don. We don't hear you.
Oh,
No. Static.
I know, that's, okay,
There
there
you
it is
are.
again. Yeah, I
There
got a
you
bad wire. I got to switch out the wire.
you're all wired up wrong.
I'm all wired up. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Okay, you're gonna
So,
tell us
yeah.
where the presets go now, or what?
Pardon?
The presets, where you can tell us about where they go.
Yep, I'm going to tell you where the presets go. A0 is your intro, and that is completely optional. Remember, you don't have to use it. A1 starts at the beginning of your song. And I'm actually playing the whole song octave 8 VA. So you're playing a whole octave up. If you play it down here, it gets too low.
So put it by the A1.
Yeah, I just put 8 VA, and then you just as a reminder,
VA.
and your whole song, the whole song is going to be that octave up.
Oh, all right.
Hmm. Hmm. Except for the intro. The intro is as written.
Okay.
Okay. So when you start that I've been, you just want to make sure you jump up to that upper octave. All right, bottom of the page, first page, last line, last measure. Where you have your little break, that's where you want to put A2.
And you're upper, right?
In your upper, yes. All right. Now, line 4 of the second page, what about? You can do that on A3 and A5, or you can put your A3 and A5 at the beginning of line 5, just so that's, you just got to have it kicked in by the time you get to that F chord.
I think it'd be easier on the last line.
If you want to do it, right before that 4th beat, right where I did the little break,
Uh-huh.
go ahead and do it there, A3 and A5, or wait until you kick it in on that last line.
Okay.
Whatever you want on that.
Mhm.
Third page, first ending. Okay, so we're on line 2. Share it with you. Right there between that G and D, you are going to put a 4. because all of a sudden it's going to go from big duet and big rock to smaller sound and a solo sound. And she sings, "You might need it someday."
Is that on the upper keyboard?
That's all on the upper.
What about the other ones you just gave us?
Now, those are all on upper.
Okay,
Now, the only time you go to lower is right now. End of line 4, actually the middle, line 4, last measure, the end of that first ending, where you have the pickup notes D and F, and I gave you those 2 little break lines again. That's where you want to put L. I can't tell you. So that second verse goes to the lower keyboard. You're not switching a preset, you're just going to the lower keyboard. Now, A5 kicks in, you want to go back to the upper keyboard.
Yep.
Okay? Because that's where, as you can see, A4 and A5 are just copycats of other presets. I'm just cutting and pasting. Just cutting and pasting. So you can make this as easy or as hard as you want. And really, all this is about is you picking up a couple of tips on, ooh, what does my organ have and what can I make it do? That's what it's about.
Mhm.
Mr. Kelly's got a question. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Go back to upper, correct. Yep. And the what, you actually go back to upper at the what about. You actually go back to, that's a good question. If you've got your A3 and A5 at the beginning of the 5th line on that second page, you want to make sure that you go back to the upper keyboard on your pickup notes, what about.
Mhm.
So make sure you put a U there for the second time. Or-
Don,
Hold on. A3 doesn't kick in until, you know what, that doesn't matter, because when you're on A3, when you're going from A2 to A3, you're on the upper keyboard anyway.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter the pickup notes, because you're already on the upper keyboard. But when you go from A4 to A5, A4, you're playing the second verse on the lower keyboard. And when you get to the end of line 4 for what about, make sure you go back to the upper keyboard for A5. Get those pickup notes. Get the pickup notes in that upper keyboard. Okay? Next question.
where did A4 go?
A4 goes in the first ending. So on the last page, second line,
Yes.
when the first ending starts, share it with you. Right
Okay.
there before your pickup notes, you want to push A4.
Thank you.
Good question. All right, how are we doing on time? Oh, good. I still have fingering for you, and I am going to play it one more time so that now you know where everything goes. Now you can listen a little bit differently, and you can figure out what you want to do with it. All right, here we go. One more time. What about love?
little concerned. On the second page, the last sign, that's where we put the dots, right?
That's where you put your
when
silly
did
sign.
verse two
That's your silly sign.
At the silly sign. Yeah, that's
Huh?
where you put in the silly sign.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I'm good, I'm
The
good.
first time you go back to the dots at the top of the page.
Yep,
The
Yep.
second time you go to the second ending, and then you go back to the silly sign,
on the last line. Okay,
and then
got it.
repeat and fade. Yeah.
Yep. I thought I heard you play the CCC.
Yeah, I did. I wrote it in over here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Because on the
Okay.
fermata, I took a whole measure.
correct,
I
correct.
just took a whole measure and I just did big drums, big fill-in. So you play it the way you sing it. That's the best advice I
Yeah.
can give you ever.
That's really good.
Ever. You
Yeah.
know, just use the notes as a guide. And this is one of those songs, it's one of those groups that you got to play everything with attitude.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You rock and roll. Play it with attitude. These girls can rock. I'm telling you, those two are something else. So if you've never seen the band Heart, I'm sure you've heard their music, but if you've never seen them in action, go to YouTube and watch the videos. They do some pretty, they've got attitude. They can rock. All right. Now, there were an extra notes that I played on page 1 that I did not tell you about. Last line on page 1, making it through to your heart. And you're holding that F note. Let's go back to this. And then it takes you down to a C. That's not exactly how it gets there. You want to hold the F chord for 4 counts. And you want to hold the F, and then you want to add a D, which is just right before the C. You're going to put in a D, and you're going to make the F. You're going to hold the F, so you might want to write it in. So you're going to end up with F, D, C all at one time.
Okay.
2, 3, 4.
Mhm.
Very dramatic. Then when you do your no chord and your bass kicks in, it's just a nice little break right in there.
Mhm.
Or not. The rest of it's all pretty well written.
I
So
thought you told us not to do the no chord on that last line.
you can.
Oh, okay.
You can. I automatically seem to do it, but if you kick to the next preset, it should do it for you too.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Any questions before we do fingering?
Nope.
Nope. You either love the song and you can't wait to play it, or you're going to say, you know what, it's too heavy duty for me, I don't want it. And I don't care. That's what music is all about. You're not going to like every song in the book. As long as you picked up one thing today, you are 100% successful. And thank you so much for sticking the class out, even if you didn't like the song. Next week, we have an older song called The Very Thought of You, and we're going to go in the exact opposite direction, and we're going to do something beautiful, pretty beautiful, you know, just soft and pretty. So that'll be a fun one to play as well, The Very Thought of You. That was written by Dottie's dad. Right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's do some fingering for those of you who don't need it. Thank you so much for coming. But otherwise, get your pencils out and let's work. D1, F2, G3, F2, D1, F2, A4, B flat 5, A4, G3, D1, F2, G3, F2, D1, F2, third line A4, B flat 5, A4, G3, C5, 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 C5 all the way across. If you want to cross out the second to the last C and go down to an F with a 1, you may. Up here. The love I'm sending. If you want to do it on ing, you can go down to an F. If you want to
Okay, so
stay on the
cross off that
C,
one.
no worries. And make it a 1, yep.
Okay.
But no worries. Last line. C5, B flat 4, A3, G2. Put a little arrow on this next one, make it an A5, G4, F3, hold it, and then the D with the 2, hold it, and then add the C. So you've got an F, a D, and a C all at the same time.
Mhm.
D1, F2, top of the next page. G3, F2, D1, F2. A4, B flat 5, A2, G3. D1, F2, G3, F2. D1, D1, F2, A4, B flat 5, A4, G3. Third line, C5, 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 F1, F1, C5, B flat 4, A3, G2. A3, G2, excuse me, fourth line, F1, F1, F1. A2, C4, 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 A2, D5. C4, 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 C4. B flat 3, B flat 3, A2, A2, G1, G1, A2. Nothing strange with the fingering in this song, really. C4, 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 top of the last page, C4, C4, D5, C4, C4, A2, A2, G1. End of the first line, C4, 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 B flat 3, B flat 3, A2. First ending, A2, G1, G1, G1. Check mark. D1, F2, G3, F2, G3, F2, D1. Check mark. Low C1, high C5, B flat 4, A3, G2, A3, G2. Low D1, F2, and your second ending, A2, G1, G1, A2, and your 3 C's that we wrote in are 4s, 4, 4, 4. Any questions?
Very good.
All right. Have some fun with the song. If you didn't care for it, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well, next week we will do The Very Thought of You. Do not forget, Robert is doing a musical spectacular on a larger organ this afternoon at 1 Florida time. So go ahead and join him on that. I will be busy teaching a class here in the store. It's possible that I will be able to come in at the very, very end of it, but not likely. And it's not that I want to miss it, it's just that he had no choice but to do it at that time. He's got other conflicts with something else going on for classes in his stores. So that's fine.
All right.
That's fine. So you'll
Thanks,
have to tell me
Dawn.
how it was. You
Thank you.
guys
Thanks.
are awesome.
Dawn, I have
Hi,
a quick,
Daddy.
Go ahead.
okay, the song To All the Girls I've Loved Before,
Huh?
is that Habanera? The,
Could be.
did
Really?
you do that song? 'Cause I know I miss a lot because I've been traveling.
Not that I remember.
Okay, is that on Patreon?
It should be, if I
Okay.
did it. What page is
I
that
don't
on?
recall her ever doing
Nine,
it.
What page?
190.
190. Yeah, see, I did this in a different book. We may have skipped it.
Oh, okay,
We may have skipped it because we have done it before.
She
okay.
did it on Roadside Cafe.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Crazy Country.
Uh-huh. It
you
would be
say
a country. It would not be a
Easy
habanero.
country.
Uh-huh.
And
Roadside
crazy country.
Cafe? Did you say roadside cafe?
Roadside Cafe,
Or Crazy
Crazy
Country.
Country.
Okay, and you don't happen to know the tempo?
It was 88.
Thank you.
88,
Thank you.
okay,
Because all I put was C book number.
okay.
Didn't want to write it all over again in this book. So
Okay,
good question. Thanks for helping out, Dottie.
thank you, Dottie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Any,
You guys are awesome.
any more discussion on the next book, 316
Ah.
or 204?
You know what? I should have taken a vote when everybody was here. For the people that are here, I would prefer 204 myself, but I do know that there's a lot of repeats from this book right here.
Oh.
So check your song lists.
So what are the choices? 204?
Choices are 204, which is an
Yeah.
orange book. It's Best Easy Listening Songs Better. That's the one I would prefer, just because it's smaller. The other one is book 316, which Sue Kelly held up, the white pages.
Go on for 3 years, probably.
Yeah, and we'd be in it for 3 years. And it does have some more obscure songs. Yes, you're going to repeat some songs.
Yeah.
But
So
the songs are nice.
there's some good songs
Yeah,
in
I
there.
took a tour through it and I thought, oh,
Yeah,
but oh my,
Okay,
there's a
so
lot of
204.
songs. Mhm.
whatever goes.
So whatever you guys would like to do, shoot, I should have taken the vote today. I did not. I was dumb.
I'm
Oh,
I'll remind you for next Friday.
Thank you. Please do, because we need time to be able to order them.
yeah,
Yep.
okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Have
All
a
right.
good
Yep.
week.
So I think those are going to be the two choices. Book 204, Easy Listening, and book 316, The White Pages.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, you as well.
Bye
Stay
then.
warm.